The Democrats, the Republicans, the liberals, the conservatives, they wanted it brought out of the federal government and brought back to the states for a vote of the people.
In the lead up to the election, Donald Trump lied in an attempt to soften his messaging on abortion. Even at that very same town hall where he bragged about returning abortion back to the states, Trump applauded the conservative Supreme Court justices that he had handpicked expressly to overturn Roe v. Wade.
But what we were able to do is, through really the courage of 6 Supreme Court justices, we were able to do this after years and years of turmoil.
Now, Trump has taken credit for the Dobbs decision repeatedly since it was handed down in 2022. And yet, in this election cycle, Trump insisted that he'd be, quote, great for women and their reproductive rights. He promised voters that he would not sign a federal abortion ban. And it seemed to have worked.
I like that he didn't actually plan to ban abortion. He just brought it back to the states.
NBC's exit polling shows 45% of voters trusted Donald Trump more than Kamala Harris to handle the issue of abortion. Here's how far that went. In Florida, at least 57% of voters cast their ballots for abortion rights, and 56% voted for Donald Trump. Montana's initiative to enshrine the right to an abortion also passed with at least 57% of the vote, and yet nearly 59% of Montana voters still voted for Donald Trump. Arizona's abortion amendment passed with flying colors, more than 61%. Now, NBC News still projects the race for president in Arizona as too close to call, but Donald Trump is leading there by 5 points. In Missouri, voters successfully overturned an existing total abortion ban, while simultaneously voting 58% for Donald Trump. Joining me now is Melissa Murray, professor of law at NYU and co-host of the Strict Scrutiny podcast. Melissa, help me understand what went down last night. I mean, I think there are 2 sort of different scenarios. The first one, and I know you want to talk about this, and I am eager to as well, is the reality of these abortion referenda ballot measures and what they did politically here.
You know, I want to be really clear here. There were not a lot of moves on the chessboard after Dobbs. And I think the emergence of direct democracy as a vehicle for securing abortion rights was very attractive. Not a panacea, obviously. Direct democracy doesn't exist in all of the states. It's only in a handful of states. But where it does exist, we've seen it be used, even in red states, to secure abortion rights. And that's why it was deployed in this election cycle in 10 different ballot initiatives in 10 different states. And, you know, part of the idea here was that the interest in abortion for those ballot initiatives would drive voter interest in the other races on the ballot, including the presidential race, Senate, whatnot. It would row your vote, and we would have a Rovember. But I think what we're finding is that the presence of those ballot initiatives actually gave some subset of women voters a permission structure that allowed them to go into the ballot booth and vote their interests on securing abortion rights and then pivot to vote their economic interests, which they believed would be vindicated by Donald Trump.
Yeah, literally a have your cake and eat it too scenario.
Yeah. And like, to be clear, a subset of voters, I think there are other voters who were perhaps more communitarianly, collectively minded as they went into the ballot box. But this was a group of voters that were able to vote all of their interests, whether it was the economy, whether it was abortion. They were able to satisfy all of those interests by splitting their ballot, voting for the abortion referenda, and then also voting for Donald Trump.
Given the way that, this all shook out with a lot of these referenda passing in large numbers, right?
Yes.
If not quite meeting the 60% threshold in a state like Florida.
An anti-democratic threshold.
Yes. Exactly. Yes. And a very important point. I just wonder how you see the future sort of landscape as it concerns choice and reproductive autonomy in this country, given where the right wing has said it wants to be on the issue of everything from abortion to contraception. Where are we here? Like, there's the Comstock Act, which I still think remains a potent tool for a bunch of Republicans who may not want to actually legislate this. Mm-hmm. There's the court. I mean, how do you look at the road ahead?
Okay, so first, let's turn to direct democracy. I think it's still going to be very attractive. Maybe it will be more effective in an off-cycle election, like a midterm, for example, where you're able to secure abortion rights without having this choice between different candidates. I think, though, now that the dust has settled on this election, we have someone who is in the White House who basically has control of every institution of government. He has the executive, he has Congress, very likely to get the House and the Senate, and he has control of the courts. We have a 6-3 conservative supermajority on the United States Supreme Court. May not be able to get through a nationwide abortion ban. I think he probably could push it through, but I don't know if there's political appetite to do that. But with the Comstock Act, which is this 1873 act that has been dormant and hasn't been enforced in a very long time, all they need is a new attorney general with a new Department of Justice that's willing and able to enforce it. And you can stop the distribution of mifepristone. You can also use executive power to roll back the FDA's approval of mifepristone. You can basically take medication abortion off the table. You can also make it more difficult for physicians to provide surgical abortions by preventing them from sending the instruments that are used for surgical abortions through the mail. And then you have the court. And Dobbs did a lot of things, but one of the things it did not do was undermine the substantive due process doctrine, which essentially could be a conduit for basically enshrining fetal personhood. This is the idea that the fetus, as much as the woman, is a person for purposes of constitutional law. The court in Dobbs studiously stayed away from completely discrediting substantive due process, even though Justice Thomas would have done so in a heartbeat. And in an article that was published in the Harvard Law Review, my co-author and I argued that it might be because they are preserving that in order to enshrine fetal personhood down the road.
Especially because, and you see this in the sort of anti-choice movement, using the words fetal personhood is politically a little bit easier or palatable than saying abortion ban. That's where we're at. Melissa Murray, please come back. The road ahead is long and dark and winding, and we need your expertise. Thank you for helping me try and make sense of all of this.